What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Italian Stallion, getting ready for the first episode, the pilot episode of Rebels with a Cause. My co host, I'm going to bring him on separately because he deserves his own introduction. You know him because he is just as much Marble City West as your boy here. Of course, I am your horse, the Italian Stallion. I do speak Spanish as well. But the truth of the matter is that you are joining us tonight for our initial show. And of course, I want to first off by start saying that the views on this show do not reflect West High School or anybody else. These are our views. And of course, eventually we would love to be affiliated with the high school and have something there. But for right now, this is our thing that we're starting, our views on both football and basketball, very popular sports. And right now, of course, West is the king of 5A football. And from the sounds of it, the basketball team, which my co-host will be talking about in our second half hour, and will be dominating these shows over the next few weeks as they continue their run for a possible district title, region title. Why not even go all the way for state? If football can do it, why can't basketball? It's all about the matchups. But we'll get to that in a second. But truth be told, though, I did want everybody's support in this. Thank you for everyone that tunes in, and we're going to build an audience. We know that it's going to be starting off. If you've got comments, leave them in the chat and so forth. That's what we've got it there for. So, of course, if you have questions beforehand and you can't make a show live, we would be more than happy to take emails, honestly. So, and when I bring on my co-host, he can give his email. Of course, you can reach me at thegametriplej@gmail.com. And obviously, we'd love to have you live with your comments. And this show is going to be so great in terms of we're going to have guests. We're going to have former coaches, former players in either sport, and get their stories from the past, as well as show and talk about our love for West of why we're doing this. But without further ado, I'm going to bring him on. He has been the voice of the Rebels basketball for 18 years. But I'm going to go a little bit deeper. He was also calling girls soccer and all sorts of things, anything he could get his hands on that wasn't really that important to the school at the time. So he's been announcing for a long time. He was a 2003 Mr. West, okay? So you got to show some respect and love for my guy. And he is the one and only Brian Tate, Mr. BT himself. Let's bring him on.
What's happening? Man, appreciate the introduction, man. You know, uh, but they gotta, since you're the Italian stallion, they gotta call me Two Pair Tate. So
Two pair Tate. There we go. So that's it. I mean, honestly, and what's so funny about it? I want to give a shout out to. I was doing a guest host for a show called U Talk that focused on Miami football and had some legends. And I got this idea about West from Devin Lloyd and Mr. Larry Frank, and their show has grown immensely in 3 or 4 years. So I got to give them a shout out for giving me this idea. And the thing is they always joked around that he is the Italian stallion, but he's got a lot of Apollo Creed in him with all my trash talk that I do. But the thing is, I trash talk, but I back it up. And so do my teams. And I let my teams do the talking, just like the West football team did their talking this year. You
yeah,
know,
teams talk. You gotta let your teams talk. I love though. I love the thing where people be like we, and people don't understand once you played for that school. Yeah, well, I'm a big part of we.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you.
we.
I got concussions that I still have problems riding an elevator with. I've got a broken ankle that I suffered in JV that, I still kind of, but the thing is, we bled on that field. It's not even on that field anymore. It's now artificial turf.
Yeah,
But we have so much
it'll
love.
come that far.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how far back we go. I mean, how many times has the gym changed with paint jobs and everything in your time being there, not only as a player, but also now as an announcer?
Three or four times, three to 4 or 5 times, like
That's
that.
what I'm
It
saying.
him every year. It didn't look like what we played in.
No,
What
no.
we played in, that gym looks totally different from
Oh
what,
yeah.
we were on the court. And yeah, it's totally different times. And to see football dominating the way it is, and then how basketball is becoming a power in the city because of that group, they've gotten to grown together and they're juniors. So it's just really awesome to see like football dominating.
Oh
Like
yeah.
like back to back.
Hmm.
Like we've made a stamp in that, like, you gotta come through Marble City if you wanna go to state. And
Oh
they've built a program that is now, remember how like Maryville was when we were in school? Like now I feel, because when we were in school it was tough.
it
Like
was. I
it
mean,
free
you were fighting for the fourth seed with Anderson County and Halls because it was always Maryville, Central, and Powell, and you only had one spot left for that fourth seed. So it's like if you didn't beat Anderson County and Halls, you were done.
we were done.
You were done.
County at that time, that Anderson County school when we were in school, um, I want to say they beat Austin East, the team that won the state in '02.
They did. They
They
did.
beat them in the regular season.
Yeah.
So Austin East didn't have an undefeated season that year, but they had undefeated seasons to win the state.
Yeah, in
Like
2000 they went undefeated in one state because remember it was them and Alcoa that won in 2000, like the year 2000 they both won state and they were both undefeated and that Austin East team was absolutely loaded back then. So
I
I
want,
mean,
I think that was their '02 team.
yeah, yeah, that I think they also went too. There
So
was a string there. There was a string there where like Austin East was like really good, and then it shifted to Fulton from like '03 to like '07, the Dennis Rogan years and all that and so forth. And realistically, I know that Fulton had some success there in the early 2000s to the mid 2000s, like West did. Under Rob Black or what have you, but Austin East has seemed to have fallen off ever since Stanton Stevens and all them coaches, Quayu Graham, have left that area. So
yeah, yeah, it's just it's really weird how that happens, because I know with Stanton's got them to state,
mm,
Quayu state staff as well, and I think Quayu was his predecessor.
yeah, 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 and he got them. They upset Catholic, that Harrison Smith team,
Mhm.
one year and so forth. Austin East did. So I mean, and going back to West, I'm glad you said it, two pair, because honestly, brother. I feel the same vibes. No, we don't have the 18 in a row yet,
No,
but who's to say that we can't get there? We've had some. Let me just give you some numbers real quick, okay?
no.
You're a wrestling fan, as am I, and
Oh,
if there's people that are wrestling fans, I made a joke and I really wasn't kidding. But I said at the pancake breakfast, and there's a reason I'm going to bring up the pancake breakfast
mm,
that West football does, and a lot of the West sports teams do to raise money for stuff and everything like that. But I told one of the younger guys, I said, you need to get in coach's ear and come out to Roman Reigns' music when you guys come out there and really get them shivering, honestly, because South Doyle used to come out to the Undertaker's music when they were waving that flag on the hillside like you were coming there to die or whatever. And you talk about dreams ending in Marble City at 3300 Sutherland Avenue. I mean, that's absolutely what the situation is. And let me give you these stats of why it warrants a Roman Reigns type entrance. They do. October 18th, 2019. That's 1,529 days ago. Was the last 5A team to hang a loss on West, and it was Powell, 21-20, and West avenged that game in the playoffs later that year. So
mm,
in the regular season, no 5A team has
mm.
beaten West since October 18th, 2019. We've lost in the playoffs. We've lost to Maryville and Alcoa, who are 6A and 3A respectively, but we have not lost. And we've lost to Catholic, who's in the large subdivision of the private school league. in a game that was a makeup game for COVID, for an opponent that couldn't fulfill their needs because of COVID.
Mm.
But I say that's how dominant West has been these last 5 years. Going even further, the last time a 5A team, hey, what's up? What you doing? Good to have you on here. But the truth of the matter is that the last time we lost to a 5A school, period, was November 26, 2021. That's 761 days ago, and that was against Walter Nolan and Powell, 35-7 in the state semis.
Wow.
So you ain't gonna see Walter Nolan or somebody like that go through a Powell or anything like that. And maybe his little brother might come back. I don't know. But I'm just saying. Well, wait, no, he signed with Ole Miss. He ain't coming to Tennessee. But because I know he was leaving Texas A&M because he wasn't happy there. But my point is, we are the beasts of the East. Okay, I want teams to tremble when they see West, when they see that W, when they see them blue helmets with the W on the side of it. And they know that the game is over before it starts. And you talked about Maryville back then when we played two pair. Think about it like this. We didn't think we were going to win. I mean, the game was psychologically over before the ball was even snapped. And I'm often wondering, when is the same thing going to happen? And I think it already has happened when it comes to certain teams when they play West, because I'm going to say something, and I mean it with no disrespect. I think it's very soft that you have people writing for the Tennessean asking Alcoa that they need to jump up, that they need to leave 3A. Listen, why don't you guys get better and beat them? Okay, honestly, you know, I mean, they played Ravenwood, 6A school. They play Maryville every year, 6A school. They play West, 5A school. I mean, what else do you want them to do? They played a team from New York that was pretty good and made mincemeat out of them, Tottingham or whoever they played. I mean, and Tottingham's pretty good for up there in upstate New York, but I'm just saying that what else do you want them to do? And it's your job to get better and beat them in 3A. And the point I'm trying to make with that is with 5A, with West and so forth, we're starting to get that. You know, I mean, it's either us or Powell. You know, Central had a couple of good runs there with Rozier when he was here as the coach. But my point is that it's your job to get better and finally beat us. Those teams in Quad 1 are up there in the Northeast and Bristol and everything like that. Everybody used to shake in their boots with Kingsport, Dobbins, Bennett, and Science Hill coming down here. Now the teams here, we run them off the field. And the point of it is that I know we lose a lot of great West players. We lost a lot last year, but you know, keep doubting us. Keep writing the rumors of our demise. And I mean, 5-star preps, prep extra, all them guys or whatever. I mean, they're good dudes or whatever. But I was just they just were just ready to crown Bearden that first game. And here's the thing: we hung in there and we made that Hail Mary pass where Six Horde and Dance became part of a lure and made it 5 in a row over Bearden, which means 2 full West classes have never lost to Bearden, have not. And I mean, yeah. And I remember we were the team that finally beat Bearden for the first time since 1991. I wrote the article for the West Wind that got me a little scholarship to go to UT about it. And it was so special to be a part of that team. But now we run Bearden. We run it, you know, and I mean, I want shouts out from Marble City. I want shouts out from Westmoreland Hills and Estate, Western Avenue, West Hills, Bearden, Lonsdale, all over, Sequoia Hills. You know, honestly, stand up and be proud to be Rebels and throw up that W, because we are the beasts of the East when it comes to football in 5A. And until one of them teams like a Mo West or a Daniel Boone or Tennessee High can come down here and beat us, there's no reason why West shouldn't be in the quarterfinals every year. And, you know, we'll flip a coin with Powell and us and then bring on Oak Ridge, Lenoir City, Clinton, whoever, Walker Valley from that other side. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be in Chattanooga or Nashville or Cookeville, wherever the dang game is played, honestly, because we run this thing. And until we say otherwise or other teams dictate it, it's not going to change. It is always about the W, honestly. So.
It is, man. Nah, you said it best with that. You really did.
And I wanted to ask you this, BT, what do you think, brother, about all these coaching changes? I mean, it literally started the day of the state championship game. I mean, right off the bat, Nick Craney steps down at Central.
I didn't
Um, you
come.
know,
I
uh,
that
and they
one.
still haven't found the job. They still haven't found a coach yet. Central hasn't.
Wow. So that's December the 27th, and no coach.
No coach yet. And you
That
got workout starting next week.
next week. They don't even have like anyone as like an interim or someone.
Nothing.
Nothing. Mm.
Nothing. Me personally, I don't know how connected. I mean, I know that he's very high up there at Bearden. Former defensive coordinator for West, Kevin Lane, who is a friend of mine. I know he's a graduate of Central High School. I'm wondering how hard it might be if he would want that job if they can hire him. So that way he could kind of bring his alma mater to it and so forth. And the guy coaches defense. He's churned out a ton of players. He's Bearden's assistant head coach to Josh Jones right now, and Bearden looks like they've got a good thing going and should be competing for state this year. They have put all their marbles into a team this year coming up and got a lot of key players back. So I can understand that'd be hard for him that he would be building from the ground up, not to mention you're in a region with West and Powell. So you might as well think that you might be third if you don't get by Halls and Heritage, and they were in danger of almost not even making the playoffs this year had Heritage not turned the ball over 4 times. So that's what you're dealing with Central situation right now. They got players, they got athletes, but you got to get coaching and you got to get the numbers back up because just a couple of years ago, Central was running things. They were, and that's how it can go, But look at this now. I mean, Grace Christian had Justin Long, and Justin Long comes home to Fulton, where he was the quarterback in one state over there, and they're hoping that he can maybe get some numbers out there and revive a program that, truth be told, has not been a force in at least 6 years. At
And a
least
really
6 years.
and a really great and a really good athlete when he was at Fulton too.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, like people forget, like man, Jay Long, he was a great quarterback for them, man. I want to say he got one of those state championships.
I think he got two. I think he got two actually. So yeah, I mean, him and that Tyrone Cobb, that was that bad linebacker back then. I mean, they were dudes. I mean, they really ran that thing over there. And like I said, Dennis Rogan was thereafter and so forth. So they have really. I mean, they're banking on him to get the kids out there, and of course, his job opens up at Grace Christian. And the Price twins, who have been at Campbell County for forever, decide to take that they've done all they can in Campbell County, and now they're going to Grace Christian in the private school league with their fun and gun offense. So, and one twin coaches the offense, and the other twin coaches the defense, and they've done really well at Campbell County. Campbell County used to be everybody's homecoming, and they've been a force up until this year. And exciting things for Grace Christian now. Campbell County, they're looking for somebody. They're looking for somebody at this point. Lenoir City has had 3 coaches in the last 2 years. One was an interim, and now they get Coach Cummings, who was a force at West and built West up, and now you've got also he had some stints at Cleveland as well as Halls and the 1 year at Oak Ridge, but now he's at Lenoir City, and realistically, Lenoir City's got some talent that he himself could possibly make them a powerhouse if they have the support and guys come out, the numbers. And with a school with 1,500 kids, you would think you could find 80 or 90 suitable big dudes to come out and play some football. And I'm curious if he's going to run the veer or is he going to change the offense, but they did run the wing T this past year. So I think that's what kind of got him a little interested as well, that it wouldn't be too much of a difference of offense that they'd have to learn, since it's a very run heavy ball control offense that they'd be running again under him and so forth. So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, but South Doyle's looking for a new coach. Hardin Valley's looking for a new coach. Austin East, Antonio Mays has stepped down. So Austin
Yeah,
East is looking for a coach. So
I feel like Antonio recently just stepped down.
yep, that was last week's story. So right now you've got Central and Austin East, two historically proud programs, looking for a coach. South Doyle had the success with Clark Duncan, but seems to have not been able to find anybody other than Clark Duncan to run the show. And Hardin Valley's still kind of the new kid on the block, that they're good in other sports, but they just have not found their leg in football, it seems like. And they also play in the toughest, I think, region with Bearden, Farragut, Cleveland, Bradley Central. And that's a gauntlet right there. That is an absolute gauntlet of teams that you have to beat to even make the fourth seed in the playoffs. So, I mean, it's a tough job. It's a tough job. But again, you'd think with 2,000 kids, they could find 100 players to come out there and knock heads.
Yeah, you would think so, but not at all. Not at all. You would think that they would, but not.
Absolutely. Well, Tupert, talk to me. I don't know if you even got to go to a football game or not this year. I know that you kept up with it through me and so forth. But what were your thoughts? I mean, some of the games were televised. Some of them they do the Diamond Clear Media. You could always go back and watch them. What was your thoughts on this West team? And of course, you had last year's team that was an unbelievable juggernaut. Beating teams by an average score of 45-10. But they lost 30 seniors, 16 starters. Talk to me about what your thoughts were about this football team for West.
Well, what I really thought, I think that they played every game with intensity. One of my favorite kids, the Smith kid,
CJ.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
phenomenal, phenomenal. Dance had well command of the offense. He just mistake free. I like the six kid. Like he's a playmaker, total playmaker. Like that lineup. I mean, from where those kids were, like it was a dominant running game last year.
Mm-hmm.
Dominant running game. This was a balanced offense that could pick you apart.
It was. It was. I mean, here I've got numbers for you. I mean, Hunter Dance finished with 1,890 yards and 20 touchdowns this year through the air. And the running game, and one of my favorites was Marshawn Bowers. I mean, oh my God, Bowers was incredible. Last year he plays wide receiver and safety. This year he plays running back and only came in safety and situational, against better opponents. And he was out there doing his thing on defense more so than on offense against Page in that championship game. But Bowers, another West running back, over 1,000 yards, 1,107 yards. He finished with 18 touchdowns on the ground. And I'm going to throw this out there. He missed 2.5 games, in my opinion, because he got hurt in the Central game and couldn't finish that one, couldn't play in the Heritage. And Alcoa coaches were hugging him after the game, probably thanking him for not playing in the game against us, because they didn't have to worry about him. They're taking on our third string and fourth string running back. God love him. And Devin Jameson, who was his backup, he made some big plays, 586 yards on the ground, 5 touchdowns. And he also missed a couple of games with an ankle injury that he suffered in the Central game. So I say all that realistically, it was a balanced offense. And that senior class, I mean, listen, you mentioned CJ Smith. Here's some numbers for you for him. That boy finished with 24.5 tackles for a loss. 12.5 sacks on the year. God knows how many hurries and things like that, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But him was incredible. And
He
then
he's one of the best defensive players.
ever, ever.
Yeah, he's one of
Yeah,
the best players I've seen come through those halls. Like
yeah. And
I,
he looked
I
the part too.
like
I mean, oof.
he is. Well, I cannot wait to see him at the next level, like college. How he's one of those kids that you got to see it live to
Yeah,
really. The numbers are like crazy, but you got to see him up close and live to really,
absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely. I mean,
pump it what he does because that guy is nice.
I'm going to throw this out there. Anybody, and I can talk about, the defensive players. Um, Anderson Smith, 8 sacks, played with a brace on his knee. He got hurt in the Bearden game at the end, and it might as well have been a sprained MCL, sprained ACL, but he learned to play with that brace, and he was fantastic this year, just like he was last year. And I made a joke that it was the law firm of Smith, DeRoche, and Smith because another kid stepped up in Wyatt DeRoche, who was just an absolute beast right next to CJ. 106 and a half tackles this year, 21 and a half tackles for loss, and 11 and a half sacks. I
Mm,
mean, are you kidding me? And the kid had a motor like you think he's out of the play. He's running downfield tackling somebody if they were able to get to the second level and so forth. I mean, they just nonstop motor. And, luckily we'll have DeRoche back next year.
hmm
But then you bring up Ryan Scott, who, me personally, I think is the best linebacker to ever come through West. I mean, he has just a hair under 400 total tackles in 3 years of playing time. He
mm.
finished this year with 171 tackles, 20 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, 3 interceptions. I mean, he was all over the field. He was like having another coach or a quarterback on the field. And what I'm getting at is between him, CJ Smith, and Anderson Smith, two pair. I said that we would be in the thing again. I said to myself, with that defense, if
Mm.
we can find a running game and a quarterback to replace Carson and Braden from last year, I said there's no reason why we shouldn't be there again. And sure enough, they were there again. Like you said, the intensity was brought every game.
Yeah,
So
it was some intensity, man. Like when I watched them on TV, the couple of games, watching them against Page in the state, they play with a different type of intensity that like a lot of schools, they don't match that type of intensity, and then the atmosphere at a home game, like that is a crazy atmosphere.
mhm.
It feels like you're at a college stadium almost, even though
Yeah.
it's football. You feel like you're watching a college team.
Well, and you know what? Here you were talking about how the basketball gym ain't the same gym that you played in.
Yeah.
That football field ain't the same football field we played in. I mean, you have 4 stands on either side. You've got a jumbotron. The facilities are second to none with that field house. I mean, and like you said, the rock and everything. I mean, it is really good facilities. And I'm telling you, it is like going to a college game, and that's sacred ground. And realistically, they defend that house. I mean, they really defend that house. And
They don't
it's
lose too many. They don't lose too many there.
no, no. And like I said, Alcoa, hats off to them for beating us. And I'm never going to be that guy that makes an excuse that, oh, we didn't have this guy, we didn't have that guy. I would have loved to have seen if we were at full strength in that game how we would have done. But ask me this, would I rather be full strength against Alcoa in a game that's just for bragging rights, or that we were full strength against Page for another gold
I,
ball?
I
That's what that's about.
think about all day. You know, the thing with area schools beat up on each other. Area schools beat up on each other, and that's just like here in a couple of days. Alcoa and West are going to be linking up January the 4th at the Rowdy House. So those area schools, they beat up on each other. The Alcoas, the Maryvilles, they've been beating up. They're the Hatfield and McCoys.
Yeah.
not that far away from each other. Where, you know, back in the days, Western Central used to lock it up. Now it's Western Powell locking it up.
Hmm.
You know, it's just it goes in so many variations where, you know, Bearden can't beat us. They can't.
Hmm.
They're like, and then there was years where West was beating up on Farragut,
Yeah,
and it all goes around. Like
it does. It
Farragut,
does.
Farragut was whipping up on us in spring practice, and fights and brawls break out. You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it is just one of those things, and I'll say this about this team because I do want to get to basketball, which is going to be dominating, and I can't wait to hear all the exciting stuff and the players you're going to talk about as well as the coach, and you know how this program is doing their thing now and making their own mark. But I'm going to say this: when West. At the pancake breakfast, I asked a couple of the players, I said, what's the record going to be this year? And one guy was like, I think we win them all. And I was like, I like you. I like you. That's how you should think, that you win them all. Okay. You know, one of the team moms who I love to death, you know, she said to me, you know, she kind of made a mention to coach. She was like, well, how many pregame meals we should do and so forth like that. After the end of the spring game against Science Hill, I said to her, I said, you better get 15 done. I mean, that should be the mark. Have 15 pregame meals and then adjust accordingly throughout the year if some major injuries or things don't go the way we do. But you should be planning for 15 pregame meals every year with this football team. And I know we lose a lot, like the CJs and Ryan and Anderson. You can't replace those guys. But the thing is that the younger guys should want to make their own story. And
Mm,
you be you. You know, you plug in there and you make your story, you know, and you get yourself a ring. And you know, any college that gets those three young men that I know or that I mentioned, or a Six Horde or a Marshawn Bowers, they're blessed, honestly, because they're going to get really smart kids and kids that really bring it every day. And I'm going to throw this out there: when we won that game against Bearden, when Dance threw that beautiful pass with 16 seconds left, and Six Horde catches it and walks right into the end zone, I said, we're about to go on a run. You beat your rival like that, and they had led the whole game. And again, that was a game for a lot of our players, first time starting. You know, again, we had 16 starters to replace. I knew that there was something as a momentum of that game. And if we lose that game, do we go on this run? I don't know. But it was enough to get you to believe. I mean, they went into Maryville, BT, and beat Maryville. And it kind of like brought down the wall, the great wall of Maryville, because then Bearden went in there and did it. And then Farragut finished it off. And so I was just thinking to myself, like, man, you know, West has kind of shown how to beat Maryville at Maryville. Like, and it had been 23 years since any Knoxville team had gone in there to win. And you got the big three on down on Kingston Pike getting it done at separate times of the year.
that's
It's
crazy.
unbelievable.
That's wild to even think about that three teams from Knoxville did that. Or the fact of Maryville was always seen as this mythical school in football. It
Yes.
was like Maryville was kicking tail and taking names. Like they was really kicking ass, like with no problems. Like
Hmm.
slapping you, embarrassing you, making you want to fight. Like like let me get this right. You were in school when y'all played Carl Stewart, who went to Auburn.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I got trucked by him probably. So yeah, I mean, no, I mean, dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't if they were going to win; it was how much they were going to win by, you know. And then they would take out all their starters, and all their backups would be ready to take the place of the starter the following year. That's how it would go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but you know, before we flip it over to you, I want to give a shout out to this senior class because these were the numbers that they finished with. They were 2-6, four region championships in all 4 years, two state championships, and they were part of last year's group and this year's group, winning 29 out of 30 games. And right now, going into Bearden's next year, for the first game because it will be at Bearden. Don't have a date yet, but the schedule flips. So basically, it's the same schedule, but if you were at home, it's now a road game. If it was a road game, it's a home game. So we go on the road that first game at Bearden. Should be a fun one. Don't know if it'll be on a Saturday like it has been traditionally these last couple of years, but we'll see what happens. But
I wish that would be on a Friday.
it would be nice on a Friday night. It needs to go back to a Friday night.
Friday night one, man. Like Saturday, I missed it. I had to watch it on TV.
Oh, and it was so hot.
Watch it on TV. It was cool though, but it was hot out there though.
BT, I sweated through 2 shirts and drank like 10 water bottles. It was so hot in that press box. Honestly, it was awful. But I mean, but we were more conditioned than them. That's what it proved, that West was more conditioned than them. I mean, that's what I kept waiting for. But the fact is, you're taking an 8-game winning streak after doing 21 in a row before we lost to Alcoa. But I mean, that's just insane to me that you've won 29 out of 30 games. Not many teams can say that, and that they've won 2 state championships. Honestly,
back to back.
Back to back, man. I mean, and I can't wait to get the pinky fitted so that way I can wear both of them at the same time. So, and that's how I'm going to do it too. So.
Diamonds is that? Let me see them diamonds, man. Like,
let me see. Let me show you that.
That's nice.
Oh yeah, no, that was for last year. That was for the 15-0. So I'm waiting for when they start sizing us for the next one, and I'm going to get it on the pinky finger, and I'm going to wear both of them. Honestly, I really will. So I don't care. Yeah, I mean, I love showing it off. So.
You know, wear both of them. If we ever win state in basketball, they better get me a daggum ring.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this. I will actually be sleeping in front of the coach's office to make sure that they get you one, honestly, because for all that you've done, I mean, you deserve one in basketball, man. All the tears, all the love that you've shown. And, you know, that's a great transition right now. I'm going to give you the floor. Talk about this basketball team. You know, I want to hear how they've done so far. Who are the dudes? And here's the thing. One thing I've always loved about you when you announce a game, you have nicknames. And I want to know if there's some nicknames for the guys, because some of my favorites from the past, I have them written down here.
Oh no, you do.
I have a couple. I have a couple. I'm not going to be too rough. I don't know the kid's name, but you called him the Meat Hook, and he was on the 2011, 2012 teams that were so good. So, yeah, the Meat Hook. And then there was Chris Smith Jr. You called him the Milkman. So, and the Milkman. And of course, you know, Calvin Skywalker. That was a cool nickname right there, and so forth. But those were just some off the top of my head. And every time they'd score, you just were on that microphone. The Meat Hook got a basket. It was so good. It was so much fun during that time. But I'm gonna quit talking. I want to hear about this team because I plan to be there. We're going to talk more about it next week. You know, the night before the Alcoa West grudge match next Thursday night, and I will be there for that game and so forth. But talk about this team. What do we got going on with these running Rebels?
So these running Rebels, I mean, it's a loaded team. These guys have been together. They are juniors. It's a junior dominated team. And I think they got a chance within these 2 years. If this class doesn't get one, I'm gonna say the what if, like, because this is some talent that they have. Devin Martin probably might be one of the best post players in the state, if not the city. Kevin Jack on the post is just you can't get him off the block. The wing guys that they have with Jalen Hill running the point and Reese Clark on that other wing. And then the X Factor is Dane Britton, who I want to say got hurt in the Austin East game. I don't know if he's out for the season. I don't know. I get more detail on it. But I just want to say he suffered a slight injury after the 30-point shellacking we gave Austin East. Austin East came back. No, actually, Austin East beat West at home by 2, 61-59. West had a lot of turnovers that game. They struggled with the Cherry kids. I will say this. Shane Cherry and his brother Condis, that is the best backcourt in the city.
For Austin East right there.
I mean, and when you see them dudes on the football field, like those two dudes right there, they might be two of the best athletes we have in our city, and they're across town.
Yeah.
If we had them dudes at West,
oh my god,
it would be unfair. We couldn't have. We could not have that. Like that would. We would really be. We'd be
you got the wheels in my head turning. By the way, so I could. Hey, you'd look good in Rebel blue and red.
Hey, you know how hard it is for people to admit, like, if you're a rebel, we're just looked at differently. We're looked at differently. And one thing I will say, this is the most diverse group of kids that
I noticed that
bought into each other. I think they've got two of the best outside shooters who don't shoot the ball that much, but when they shoot it, it goes in. And Garrett Birch and Joe Dupree.
Okay.
Also, a kid to look out for. He's a sophomore, and I like his game. Robert Ice Schuler. I would say Schuler. Next year, Schuler, he better be the man. Like, he better be the man next year. Well, as a junior, he should be. You know what I'm saying? Like, guys like Dane Britton, who they've been with West for a while. You know, the juniors and Devin Martin and Kevin Jack provide that stability you need down low. Also, coming off the bench, Malik Wilson, who can change the game up. Also, I like Jack Keefe. I did not know he was a hell of a football player too.
Yeah, I need to give Mr. Jack Keith some love too, real quick.
Okay.
That you mentioned it. He finished with 109 tackles this year from the other linebacker spot. So he's going to be counted on to be the dude next year, him and DeRoche as seniors. And when I found out he played basketball, and I believe Dance is on the team too, right? So he scores a couple points every game or something, it seems like. So
you got to have a quarterback on that. Like, one thing I like about the football guys playing basketball, they give that basketball team that toughness.
Yeah.
Because Keith, he was hounding any opposing guard. He's picking guys up 94 feet. Like, that's one thing I will say about Keith. He gives that toughness. He gives that toughness that the basketball team. Like, and Garrett Birch, he's able to, hit a few shots here and there because you need spot up shooters like Dupree and Birch off the bench. Those guys get them the shots. But Maurice Clark was just the MVP of the Heritage Christmas basketball tournament. And our boys did not disappoint on the neutral floor. I want to say they've only lost one road game. No, they've only lost, they've only lost one home game. They've split home 1-1, getting my laptop back open.
They lost to Catholic at the first game of the year on a heartbreaker. It seemed like that was a close game, and it was the first game of the year. It was at Catholic. And obviously they didn't have the football guys playing because West was playing that night against Powell or somebody that night and so forth. So in the playoffs. But it seems like they're at full strength, and they ran Halls off the court 70-48. I saw, and they were very proud of that game where it was a very balanced scoring effect. And then they beat Heritage for the actual tournament championship and won pretty handily that game as well. One thing I wanted to ask you about, because you were very passionate talking about it on Facebook, how it really, you hadn't seen a good basketball game like that first West Austin East game,
I have not.
And you really were interested in the rematch, and the rematch was a blowout, and how do you explain that, of how it was so close and then, bam, go to their place and blow them off the court. So
to AE's to AE's defense, they had just beat Oak Ridge Saturday night.
So they were tired,
That
probably.
turnaround, you got to think that's Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday.
It's a lot.
You just came into a hostile environment where the fans are on you from the moment you come off the bus. You win by 2 with a game you shouldn't have won, but you won because of terrible execution from West. But AE took that game. They took it. As much as West gave it away, AE took it. And when West comes back to AE, it's a totally different environment.
Wow.
It felt as if it was a West home game because of the poised. West was poised in that game to the point where I put up the score, and I've gotten in a lot of trouble about me and the score, but that's I'm the same way if we win. I'm the same way if we lose. I don't talk about the coaches. It's about
Neither do I.
It's the same way we got critiqued is the same way I'm critiquing our kids.
That's it.
I feel like a lot of times we as the sports fan, like, we also got to remember these are our kids at the end of the day, and we got to do better as parents, volunteers, staff, faculty, of saying, hey, look, there's wins and then there's lessons. If we're learning too many lessons, how are we going to learn how to win from all these lessons you losing? Like, if you're losing, that's a lesson.
Yep.
That, like, I feel like West football has taught us we don't have a lot of lessons. We win. So there's a lesson to be learning if we're doing what we do in practice.
That's right.
So, like, when I get on my rants on sports and parents, and that's what I mean. I'm speaking from a place of, I once was an athlete. I have announced for athletes, and we can't have it one way if we can't have it the other way. Like,
well, and to be fair, you mentioned your 18 years. You and me have been in the same building where you have parents from the opposing team with such colorful language. It's like, wow, you're an influence to a kid. How dare you?
Exactly.
How dare you?
Especially the stuff we heard. Like,
oh, yeah. And from a religious school. What is that? That's absurd.
Yeah. But
go back to church. You didn't learn nothing.
I'll bring this up about West right now. With the basketball team, 9-2, 1-0 in the district, 3rd in 4A. We are like a 4A school, but we play up against some tough competition. So
that schedule is a bloodbath coming up. I mean, here's the thing. We beat Bearden for the first time in 6 years. I can't wait for that rematch. And they're going to be out for blood. And that game's on a Tuesday, I saw, coming up in a couple weeks. And I've got to make an appearance at that one for sure. So,
but, they handle the wins. When they win, these are like, let's see, Gibbs. They beat them 88-58.
Wow.
Beat Knoxville Central 78-45. Like, yeah. This is getting bad. So that AE game, the 61-59, that's one of the best games, high school basketball games I've seen, just because of how many times it was just a different back and forth game. Then you match up with a Morristown West, and you beat them 76-53.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. The wins. They beat Dobbins Bennett 68-51. They beat Tennessee High 76-38.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
yeah.
Wow.
And in the game where they lose, after they got on that roll was at home. They lose on December the 12th. Go on the road to Bearden, beat Bearden 72-67.
Wow.
In 3 days time, they come right to Austin East, the East Side, the eBay. That way, they come there and they beat them 95-64.
Wow. They almost hung 100. Geez, that's like unheard of in high school basketball.
2 days later, this is 2 days later, they beat Granger 61-24.
Oh my God.
Then the 21st, they handed to Halls 70-48.
Yep. That was the one I saw on Twitter, and I was just like,
They've won 4 straight after that Austin East loss. I think the Austin East loss was the wake-up call. You kind of need those in the season. You really do.
that's just like what Alcoa was for the West football team. Lamar said that woke them up and got them back on the practice field and what they had to work on. So those are those lessons you're talking about. I mean, you learn those lessons of what you need to do to get better and not let that happen again.
Mm-hmm.
And they beat Alcoa, didn't they, in some tournament over there at Alcoa? So Alcoa is going to be looking for blood in that rematch next Thursday. So
yeah. Just looking at the way West has been playing, like I've been really impressed with how they've looked. I mean, at 70-48, I want to say Maurice Clark was the MVP of that tournament out there. In Knoxville, they are the 4th ranked team in Knoxville. In the Tennessee Division 4A, they are number 8. In Tennessee overall, they are ranked 16.
it's a lot of teams. That's pretty awesome.
And they're playing very well. Thursday, they've got Alcoa, and then in 5 days from that, they've got Farragut. So those 2 home games, West has got to bring it. Those 2 home games that get on that road. I think they can be a state team. I really do.
Yeah, and they can't underestimate Farragut. I saw that their record's a little weak this year, but that's a rivalry game. You still got to be ready to go in that one and so forth, no matter what the record's going to be, because they're going to bring it. They would love to play spoiler. So Farragut.
They definitely would like to play that. But like Reese Clark put up a really, really good game. Man, he really put up a great game out there against Halls, and he's really becoming one of the better 2 guards in the city. Like he's really playing well, man. The 3 steals against Bearden was crazy. The 3 3-pointers against Halls. Like the kid has been really on it, man. Like,
and he's only a junior, right? He's part of this great junior class, right? So
I tell these guys all the time, you got a chance with this junior class. You have a legit chance at going for a state title. Like this class together, y'all can win a state championship together. And I believe it wholeheartedly, just from Kevin Jack to Devin Martin to Jalen Hill to Reese Clark, who's just been a knockdown shooter this year. And I mean, they play well together. Like this group, that's why I said if this group doesn't get it done this year or next year,
that's going to be a what if thing. So
yeah, and I don't want that to happen.
You know what? I'm going to will it into existence. We are going to get it done. We are going to get it done. I'll will it into existence.
I think we can. I really, just from what I've seen from football, and I think success can flow. You don't want to be the school that, oh man, they the football school. Yeah. You know what man, that's the football school. The basketball team ain't that good. But then when you look at it and you're like, dang, that basketball team is about as good as a football team.
Yeah.
That's who you want to have. But
And you remember back then in 2011, 2012, Jawan Mitchell, that group or what have you, they were both good. I mean, they left one out there, both teams, I felt, and so forth. But damn, was that the most fun in West history where both teams were good? Traditionally it's been one or the other, but why can't it not be both? I mean, with the athletes, the academics, like we've talked about, I mean, you should be able to be good in both sports, on all the sports, honestly. So
yeah, you should. You really should. And that's what like I want these like kids to understand is, you know, give it your all and your best. You know what I mean? Just give it your total all, your best, and let the chips fall where they may. And try to get to a state championship.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
It's like it's different when you're West is playing for like we don't know about that as like former graduates of what that feeling. We're living that feeling of going to a state championship game, or it would be awesome to say. So these kids they got those memories that you can carry on, and it can lead to other things successfully.
hmm Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have gotten this, as an actual player instead of
Yeah,
support staff, but I'll
yeah,
take it, and
exactly.
when they called me, I mean, they reached out to me. I'm gonna tell the story because so they didn't have my number, but they appreciated all the stuff that I'd done with the statistics and so forth, helping fill in a couple games, and I had come in late in last year's group. I came in the Maryville game when we beat Maryville for the first time since 1996. And I, rode the team all the way. And so I was shocked when they said, "Hey, you're getting a ring. Come here and get sized and everything. And, it'll be ready in a couple months." And I was in tears.
Mm,
BT, I was in tears. I mean, because it's like, and they told me, they said, "You have been so supportive of this program off and on for so many years." And, and the fact that I've been blessed to kind of be able to still stay in the area and catch a game or two and so forth and keep up with it. And now being a part of it, I'm now a part of it I mean, this year I was with it from spring game on and so forth, helping out. And, I love my interactions with the coaches and the players and so forth. And if the coaches ever need anything, I'm there for them. And so, but I say all that you're right, because when I'm watching that game and I'm sitting there in the stands, it's like, you know, what a feeling to do it. I mean, no teams even get to do one. And I've gotten to be a part of three indirectly. I was there for the Nathan Cottrell 2014 game. I
mm,
was there for the 2013 heartbreak,
mm,
losing by 1 point to Henry County. And those kids deserve their gold ball. And it was just 1 point that was the difference. Missed extra point and them getting a 2 point conversion was the difference. But to watch this group of guys these last couple of years, and there have been some other West teams that I felt left one out there. I mentioned 2010 and 2011. Maybe they weren't the most talented, but if the ball goes the different way, maybe they get it earlier than what they did. I felt that 2020 got absolutely hosed in that Oak Ridge game. We should already have a title for that season because we were so dominant. And and again, you don't leave it in the hands of the officials. You get it done in
yeah.
both sports. But to be a part of it, and these kids are so blessed to be going to what I think, and I'm not trying to be biased, the best school in the area, academically,
I,
athletically, the facilities.
I absolutely agree. It is the best. It is the best facility. It is the best school. Like going in there now is totally like that media center is crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, how about the girls we used to know that played softball? They had to get on a bus or drive over to Tyson Park. Now they've got their own beautiful facility to play in right behind the football stadium.
right behind the football stadium.
Brand new concourse there to come in to get the tickets, and you see the baseball field. It's been done up nice. I mean,
Yeah,
that's how it should be. It should be a nice place to go,
that's
honestly.
crazy. The softball field is right behind the football field.
Yeah.
That's that is
And that
crazy.
was where we practiced. That's where we practiced because we didn't want to mess up the field. And now with the artificial turf, you can practice on that field and not mess it up. So
Man.
yeah, I mean, it's altogether different. 23 years from when we played, honestly, and when we were there, and it's special that and what I want for these players, if they watch this show, is you are rebels with a cause yourself. Your cause is to become great academically, to take the world by the horns and do what you want, and announce yourself. And while you're playing sports, win yourself a ring, win yourself a trophy, win yourself a championship, because you are champions and you are rebels with the cause.
Mm.
And that's what this show is all about.
Also,
Because we believe in it. And when we have guests and guys we used to play with, or we followed and so forth like that, and they tell their story, and they're probably going to share some good ones, and I can't wait to when we have those guests on here, because I really want to know what not only they're doing, what they did back then as a rebel, but what they're doing now, with their lives and so forth. And that's important, because we don't want to just be like, oh, it ended in high school and there was nothing else in life. I mean, no, I mean, I know I have a guy that I hope will come on, and he said he would, or whatever. I think he's the damn mayor of up there in what's it called, Union County and so forth like that. TJ Blakely. So I mean, and you've got Troy Smith, or yeah, Troy Smith. He just talks to he's a motivational speaker. He does so many things. And when we knew these guys back then and so forth, we all clowned around and everything, but we've all matured and grown up, and we all contribute something to society, and that's what it's all about.
what's all about, man? So what's all about? Just paying it forward, giving our thoughts and our views of a school that we beloved and love, and you know,
Oh
school really.
yeah, I do want to. I know we're getting a little bit over, but I did want to say this. This this one hurts my heart a little bit, because of the fact that um, BTU, we went there at a time where a lot of sad things happened. We lost classmates. We lost, whether it was some weird thing, car accidents, there were all sorts of things that happened. And I don't want to focus on the negative, but the Rebels lost a brother, and a former player in Tim Thomas.
Um,
And I want to give a shout out to number 44. Ironically, that's CJ Smith, or CJ Smith wore that number, and I find it funny that Tim Thomas, that was his number, the big fullback linebacker for West that played.
funniest guys ever.
Oh,
Oh my
oh
God.
my God! I mean, let me tell you something. That guy, rest in peace.
I love
Honestly,
him. And
he could make you laugh if you were
yo,
having the worst day
Troy
ever.
Smith and Tim Thomas are like the funniest dudes ever.
They
That
were,
those dudes were hilarious.
yeah.
Like, I mean, just football camp with just
Hey, wait. I've got one for you.
voice.
Listen, I love this man like nobody's business. He was hard on me, spit tobacco in my face. But I still remember Coach Rayleigh at football camp having some kind of a speech about like what we need to do, getting ready, and Troy's back there like going, I don't need to know all this. I'm on autopilot. I know what's going on. And Coach Rayleigh looks at him and goes, "You shut up," or what? And it's just like one of those things. And then Tim Thomas starts laughing, and like we're supposed to be like really engaged here, the defense or whatever. And he's like, "Man, I'm all good. I'm here on autopilot. Like when are we gonna go swimming again or something?" Like, I mean, it was that good. Those football camp stories. I mean, oh my God. So,
Those
yeah.
was the times, man. Because
Oh,
So, because I was playing under Rodgers.
We both did. We
Yeah.
both did. So we
Yeah.
both did.
I was
Love
playing.
you, Tony. I'm over it. Okay. I'm over it. I don't take anything personally anymore. Took me many years of therapy. I'm over it. I love you, Tony.
Too many
Okay.
years. Because what Cummings? Yeah, Cummings came. Yeah, so
Oh,
because Cummings was the quarterback coach.
yeah. He was a quarterback coach, and he was a former quarterback and player at West in the 80s. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow.
And his son was like balled out, Connor. I mean, he came for 1 year, and we don't win state without him. Them 2 catches he makes for touchdowns. I mean,
Him, Connor
oh,
Cummings, him. I love those kids though,
oh
man.
yeah, oh yeah,
Like, like,
yeah.
you know, I really do. They have a. It's crazy because it's like we're the cool uncles now.
We are,
We're
we
the
are.
now, and we're giving these gems and jewels for these kids to be successful through our experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me tell you this, the thing that I love the most, and I've been one of the ones that have been doing it for years, was throwing up the W. Honestly, like,
Oh,
and I love it now that they're doing it now,
yeah,
more than ever. And it's like, dude, own that, own that. Like, that is you, baby.
that's
That
how
is
the W up, man.
that is it, man. That is the W
W,
right there. So yeah, I mean,
It's
and they
like
were throwing it up. Like, they were throwing it up, BT. I was so thrilled. And I'm like, it's finally caught after so many years. I did it because yeah, we know for anybody that doesn't know, BT is really hardcore Florida State. I'm really hardcore Miami and so forth, but we still love each other no matter what. It's just that one day we don't talk. But anyway, but I'm just saying that. But I'm just saying
I'm to
that.
this. I went to school there, but when it comes to football,
Yeah.
Florida State Miami football is the best football on the planet.
It is. It is. And I'm hoping that Miami
Yeah,
can do
I
their
want
part
to
to
get
catch
back to
up.
what
But
it once was. That's just me.
yeah.
Like Miami, Florida State. I remember I used to see real quick. I'm gonna touch on this. I used to see James Scud Missile Freeman wear his. I can't remember who was playing. Maybe Dan Morgan.
It was Dan Morgan. I still have the jersey. I still have it. I still do. So yeah.
I was like, is either Dan Morgan or I couldn't remember who was or no, I'm trying to think who was in school by then. You didn't have a Jonathan Vilma jersey, did you?
I didn't know he came after Dan. So, but yeah, but I wore that Dan Morgan jersey because I got it at Wide Right 3 when I went down there for the game in the Orange Bowl. It was the only Miami game I went to was Florida State Miami. I'd saved up my little money all year working at the movie theater, if you remember. And I went down there, went to the game. It was the best game ever, like to watch. Miami finally had beaten Florida State and Dan Morgan and everything. And I got that 44 jersey and I literally wore it every game until we got the Fiesta Bowl fiasco with Ohio State. But I thought that jersey was magic, by the way. I thought by me wearing that jersey, we were never going to lose. And
I remember I had a Peter Warwick.
you did have a Peter Warwick jersey. You did. So yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, the only reason I got Dan Morgan, little funny story about that, is because I played linebacker. But I loved Santana Moss because those were the 2 jerseys that were featured. It was number 6 for Santana Moss and 44 for Dan Morgan. So I went with Dan Morgan because I played linebacker, like you said, Scud Missiles. So basically, I tried to play like Dan Morgan. I even parted my hair with the long hair like him and everything. And I was no Dan Morgan, I just wasn't. So I loved me some Dan Morgan. So yeah.
Like when I played at West, because I was more of a basketball player. But
You were, but you came out like you. Hey, you know what the sad thing is? Your class, I always felt closer to than my own.
you said that before.
Yes. No, in fact, Dina Goldstein and a bunch of people have said James is like that honorary 2003, 2002 guy or whatever like that. And the truth of it is that I was almost held back in kindergarten down in Miami, by the way. But my mom wanted me to continue on. So if I had been held back, I actually would have been in your all's class.
Are you
Honestly.
the class of 03?
I would have been class of '03 if they had held me back at Gloria
Oh,
Floyd down in Miami. Yeah. But my mom worked with me with my letters and my numbers. I mean, I was just an immature little boy. I just liked to play all the time. I didn't care about sitting there and coloring and all that crap. So I just didn't. So yeah.
but
But
no, that's crazy, man.
isn't that something? So I should have I could have honestly been with you guys like realistically, and but I always felt closer to your group, and I always felt like big brother, because like a lot of y'all were seniors and would still hang out with me even though I was already at UT a year ahead of you guys and
yeah.
everything like that. So that was special too. But yeah, I was always closer to your group than I was my own. I mean, I'm still friends with some of the guys I graduated with. But realistically, we didn't have the school spirit you guys did. Like you guys were, like there was just this like presence about you guys, and it
Mhm.
goes from the guys that played football to the guys that played basketball too. And that's what was so disappointing that your all's group didn't do anything significant. And especially in basketball too, because and when we do have him on as a guest or whatever, I don't know if he'll talk about it, because that was a private conversation between myself and him and the assistant coach at the time. But he was so disappointed that the guys on the team were more worried about when practice was going to be over so they could watch the damn UT game. And we're not even talking Bruce Pearl. We're talking Buzz Peterson, man. We're not even talking like I mean, why would you care about when Tennessee basketball with Buzz Ball was going to
Oh,
go? And
who is this again? Who said
well,
that?
so again, I'm gonna have him on. He said he would come on and Coach Lindsay. And I was writing for the West Wind because I was a journalism major with the newspaper and everything
Mhm.
like that. So it's him, me, and Coach Petco, and we're sitting there in the locker room, and they like this is when I turn the tape recorder off, and we're just talking, And it's been 20 something years, so but literally when they told me that, it broke my heart to hear because it's like you guys should be way damn better than what you are. I mean, like it's a junior dominated class with the only two seniors being Stuart Oaks and Andy Lane. Okay.
And we
But
were.
yeah, and you were getting run off the court by teams I
I
knew
didn't play
were
my
way
junior
better.
year.
You
I
didn't
didn't,
play your junior year. You
didn't play
didn't. You didn't. And so that's what just kills me,
my
that they like
because
why were they not better with the guys like Brandon Bell and Spike McCamey and Rand Thomas? You had height, you had all this stuff, and you couldn't get it together. I think Brian Sanford was on that team too, or what have you. So
the kill dog himself.
yeah, I mean, and I was just like, why were you all not better? And they're
Well,
sitting there telling me they're more worried about what time buzzball starts instead of when.
so what happened that year? I played fall league. This is my junior year.
Yeah, that would be my senior year. So yeah.
I played fall league, and I didn't have a great fall league. I played okay in games. When I got in, you know what I'm saying. When I got in, I know what I'm doing, and they just decided to go. They didn't want too many guards because you had me, Chad Davis. You
I
had,
forgot about Chad. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, and then you had another wing like Amos Colbert who could play the 4 or the 3. Then you had Sekou Tyler. You know what I'm saying, like
And you
Sekou
had AB and Larry, right? They were young. They were young on that team.
underclassmen. It's like they couldn't put me, AB, and Chad. That coaching staff could not have handled. Put if we were with Auburn, oh, I'd have been playing, yeah. But my West Bearden team, my
Yeah.
West Bearden team had a better record than my high school team,
Isn't that
and
something?
we were in the paper. We were in the West Wind.
Yeah.
And that team was coached by Jonas Adams. He was like a Phil Jackson of like that city basketball. That's where I first played up against TJ Blakely.
Wow.
Is at West Bearden, and when he tried out for West, like West didn't do it. Like guys like Terry Maples was walking the hall, who could play.
Hmm.
Guy like that's the one thing about West it missed out on. You missed out on like a Jeff Pegas when he was there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right about that. And that's right. I gotta talk to TJ about that when we have him on. I'm gonna ask him about the basketball playing because he was just an athlete. Like he
Yeah.
did
He played
everything.
basketball early. That's
Yeah. The knee injuries messed him up. When he got hurt, that's what ended him. And so,
Yeah, injury.
unfortunately, so.
He had some tough injuries, but a hell of a like that's one of them guys you want to go in the fire with.
I
Like
got one of my boys showing me some love from that Utah show, George Diaz. So what's up, brother? I love you, man. Love you too. So yeah.
guys like guys like Sean Eccles, guys like Daniel Stewart, like
Yes.
William Ergen. Like there were some dudes that could play.
There were. I
And,
mean,
and,
yeah.
and the thing was, West was just bad about having guys just walk in the hallways. Like there's so many dudes walking the hallways. When we were in school, they should have been playing basketball. They should have been playing football.
They should have been.
It wasn't like it is now. Like going to West at that time, that let me know about how politics, like some things are political.
They were political. They were. And you got to
That's
think it was the start of
about
the millennium, too. It was the start of the millennium. And we also went to school at the time when you had Columbine, you had the 9/11. I mean, all that stuff was happening
art.
during that time. And like we talked about privately, the administration didn't know what was going on. Barbara Jenkins was the worst thing to happen to West High School. And we lost Ken Green to, and I'll call her out on that. Me and Barb have a long history, don't we, Barb? If you ever watch this show, but I'm just saying that I'm being serious. That like it's unbelievable how bad with all that talent and athletes we suffered back then with the administration that they have now. I mean, the principals care about
Oh
these
my God.
kids doing good academically,
Yeah.
athletically. They're at all the games supporting it. They've got their rah-rah stuff on. I felt like those principals back in our day, they had to be there. They had to. They didn't give a damn. They didn't. These
No.
guys, they care. And let me tell you this: to the poster on Coach T that went out there and said that Ashley Jesse don't care anymore because her son's not on the team. That's a lie. That is a flat out lie. Just because her son ain't the quarterback no more, she was at every game and she rooted hard every time for West to do good. Just it didn't matter her son wasn't on the team anymore. That's the biggest bunch of crap I've ever heard from a poster saying that Ashley Jesse don't care about football no more now that her son's not on the team. That's horrendously
I
wrong.
would say this too.
Should be ashamed
Um,
of yourself.
one of the I would say our principals, Coach Carruthers and
Oh, he's amazing.
Paul Romero, like those dudes are amazing dudes. But Coach Carruthers more so is I ain't gonna lie, man, he kind of changed my life. Like
Yeah,
it's
mine too.
he's the best teacher I've ever had.
You had him for psychology, sociology. That was my favorite class. That was my favorite class there.
I had him for US history.
Oh yeah, because he was a social studies teacher. Yeah.
When
So
I say I love history because of him,
yep.
like studying he helped me to the point I became a better student in Western civilization because of what I learned in UA. Like he gets it and he's relatable. Like
He is.
he's a relatable, you know what I'm saying? And he kind of like helped me for as understanding we gotta encourage our kids if our teams aren't as good as they should be.
Yeah.
Like right now, some of those teams that we have kind of struggle.
Mhm.
We gotta bear with it because they could be going through that time period with what we went through, where some of these kids are 6'2", 6'3", walking the halls, not playing a single sport, not involved in any social aspect, not in
Any clubs, anything like that,
uh,
just kind of
West,
just existing.
West has like 8,000 clubs.
I know.
You
I
can
know.
be in so many things at West, and
Mhm.
like West put like ain't too many brothers getting in the Cherokee Country Club rapping. I can say that.
Yeah, it's true. That is true. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's honestly like I I was going through my own stuff, and I know that it's a very awkward time for young men and young women. High school. Your body's changing, all sorts of things. Your brain is getting developed. But the thing is that um, even those that maybe are not sure of themselves. I wish that they would take that opportunity, go out and try it. You don't know. You don't know. I mean, just find something, find your stick, find your mojo or what have you. And you never know, you might surprise yourself. And that's the one thing that when I go back and I work out at the stadium and I run the stadium steps and I run the track and everything like that, that's sacred ground that I walk on. That's something that I can't get back, but it's my happy time.
Yeah, that's
So
therapeutic, man.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it is. So
Great first episode, man.
oh, it is. Oh my God, yes. I mean, listen, it's only going to get better from here. Of course, next week we are going to focus on that basketball game, that huge matchup between Alcoa and West. And BT, I want you to bring it, in terms of X's and O's. What does West need to do to win this game against Alcoa? And we'll really go in depth with it. And then we'll have two games, really, because we'll have that game and then we'll have the Tuesday game. And then Wednesday for that show following, we'll have two games to recap. And with them both being at West, I'm going to make sure to be at both those games and root on the Rebels and see this special team up close and see what we can do. Honestly, I'd love to add a gold ball in basketball to the trophy case. So it'd be really nice. So
getting ready for it. That game is going to be on the 4th, and then they've got one on the 9th with Farragut. So
yeah.
Those games are going to be big games. Just getting them prepared for a January. It shouldn't be too tough. I think they should go January unscathed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think they should go January unscathed. I think it turns up a little bit in February.
Yeah, no, they've got a big grudge matchup with William Blunt, who really is a really good team. They last year they kind of got screwed in that playoff district game or something, and it cost them from going to state. And they had only lost like one or two games all year long, and so forth. And so far they've only lost one this year, so they returned a lot. It sounds like from that team last year. So that's going to be a tough game when we play them in February twice. Once is there and once is at West, if I'm not mistaken. So I've got my eye on them, honestly. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Awesome stuff, man.
Awesome stuff, brother. But listen, I love you, man. And we're gonna end every show with us throwing up the W. Because you got to. It's all about the W. And just remember this. And we stay there, and we stay there, and we stay there, because all West does is win, win, win. That's it. So yeah. But for my boy, Two-Pair Tate, this is the Italian Stallion signing off. Catch us next week, same time, same station. And as always, go Rebels.
Go Rebs.
Stallion out.